me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine.
Hello, folks. Richard Moore, USAGSA. I've got Roy Eacups with me. He's in England. He's in a seaside resort of Falmer, and he is a MKUltra survivor. And since I've been on the scene, I don't know, been on the scene for years. But since I've been on the scene and doing what I'm doing here, I've been familiar with Roy, and I've followed him somewhat. But this is my first opportunity to get to some one-on-one with Roy. And I thought it would be important to have him on today and tell his story. Before I jump into it, folks, in the description of this video is my link tree. And in that link tree, you can get some of the other links to the platforms that I'm on, including my Substack, where I've written extensively about these programs, their tactics, and who's behind it. Also, giving voice to the voiceless and giving the stories and telling the stories of victims across this country. Now, we're 100% supported by our listeners, viewers, and followers. And I'm not in this for the money. And neither is Roy. And we'll also have the links in the description on how you can contact Roy and support his work and what he's doing across the pond. This program, ladies and gentlemen, of targeting, as I've discussed many times, it affects in excess of 4 million Americans annually. And that is a very conservative figure. When you look globally, it's a staggering number. And whatever starts out, and I'm not here to purport that that this program originated. I think it was calibrated and mastered by the CIA. And what we're living is absolutely pages right out of the CIA playbook. And Roy's an MKUltra survivor, and he's gonna. And I haven't spoken much on MKUltras. We know that this is something that our government was fine tuning, especially during the Second War in Europe. It was a safer place to test these lab rat, you will, human beings on this program that, by the way, has not ended. None of these programs have been deemed unconstitutional, illegal in the United States, and for all practical purposes, they quit doing it on the face, but they didn't. They simply rebranded it, and what we're dealing with now, folks, is this targeted program is simply an old whore in a new dress. There's nothing new about it. So, Roy, I appreciate you coming on. I know, what time is it there?
It's 10 to 11.
10 to 11? Well, it's not that bad. It's,
I'm normally up till 2 or
almost
3.
5 o'clock. So it's not too bad. How long, Roy, have you been? I know that you do a lot of interviews with targeted individuals there and stateside. But how long have you been advocating and speaking about this program? And also tell us how it began and when you started realizing what the deal was. Tell us what's going on.
Thank you ever so much, Richard. It's lovely to meet you as well. And thanks for reaching out. The first time I was actually put on the program, this is my hometown. And this is Bournemouth, Dorset. and I became the manager of a pier. And the pier was full of slot machines. I'd worked there since I was 15 and a half because I got refused the army. I was 5'3" and I weighed 6.5 stone. So I went to the amusement arcade and I got a job there. And I worked there for about 5.5, 6 years, and I became the manager. And when I became the manager, one day I worked with a policeman's son who poked his nose in my marriage, but that's another story, when my little boy was 3 weeks old. But when I became the manager, a policeman, a local inspector, he came round, and I never went near the police. And he said to me, he said, "Are you getting bullied now that you're the manager?" And I said, "Well, you know, not really. But anyway, something happened to me. And I can't explain this. This was about 1982. And it was like they'd used occult magic on me back then. Because I know for sure they used Satanism on me, or witchcraft, or some form of magic. And I've got the proof of that. The second time that they did it anyway. I thought they had an effigy of me. Because the spirit, what they do is I couldn't hold my head up. And I remember I couldn't even look in the mirror of the car. It was a job. And they had me walking around looking at men's and women's nether regions. And this lasted for about 3 months. So anyway, forgot all about that, got on with my life. Worked all over Great Britain in the amusement arcades, different establishments. I became area manager for Bass, the brewers. They had slot machines on holiday camps. And then I got a job working on the cruise ships. And I had 4 lovely years on the cruise ships. And when I was working out of Miami, I met a stunning lady, and she was Slovakian. And she came to work in the casino, and we became friendly, and ended up coming back to England, and we ended up getting married, and my son was born. Within 3 weeks of my son being born, me and my wife had had an argument. My mother-in-law was over from Slovakia, and I'd like to say that my ex was a Slovakian politician's daughter. And anyway, so got married, son was born, and within 3 weeks, my mother-in-law had come over. I had a great big Barney because I was shut out of I was shut out with my wife and my son. With my mother-in-law being there, she took over. Everything I did was wrong. I got accused of looking at my mother-in-law wrong. And so anyway, she cleared off. My so-called friend, who was a policeman's son, I went out to cool off. I came home. Outside my flat, his Volkswagen camper van was parked. There was a police car outside. They'd taken all of my wife, my mother-in-law's and my son, 3 weeks stuff, 3 weeks old, went to his house. I went to his house to see my wife, to try and patch things up. He wouldn't let me in the house to see my wife. So anyway, I went to the solicitors, and they said, put an injunction order to stop her leaving the country with my son. So I put an injunction order, stopped her leaving. She said, "Oh, please let me go. I promise I'll come home, Roy. I just want to go." And she never came back. And that was the last I ever saw of her. And all I got was a few photographs now and again, and that was it.
Wow.
So a few months later, I needed to get, I needed to find a way to make a living. So I found a job in Jamaica. I'd worked in Jamaica before when I was doing the Miami Caribbean run. And I worked over there for about 3-4 months, and I thought, right, Roy, it's time to go home, sort yourself out. So I came back to Bournemouth, and I started sorting myself out. And then there was this local boozer in a place called Charminster, Bournemouth, Dorset. And I met this girl called Rachel, and me and her had a little bit of a fling for a few months or however long it was. And then the same pub I went to it one night, and as I approached the door of the bar, a piece of my brain on the right frontal lobe appeared to fold over. And I can't explain it. You can't explain a piece of your brain folding over.
How did you ascertain that?
It was here, Richard, and it just went bloop. And I can't explain the feeling. My brain moved. It was the right frontal lobe just here. And it felt like it folded over. And you can't explain it. And as soon as I walked into the bar, I could barely speak anymore. I could barely laugh. And I didn't know what was going on. And then there was a handler put in my life who happened to be in the bar.
What year was this?
Pardon?
What year was this?
1995. Sorry, Richard.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know what time of the year it was, though.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So his name was Bill Verity. And he was put in my life. And Verity, for anybody that doesn't know Greek, veritas means truth in Greek. And that was his surname.
Huh.
So he knew that they'd taken my power of speech away. And I'd found a job. I just managed to find a job as a private hire driver. And I could barely find the roads. I didn't have thoughts. I was hearing voices. And basically, my thoughts started being erased, and it was replaced with chatbots.
How do you think this happened with your the brain trauma?
It was definitely either black magic, witchcraft, because I went on a show, an American show with a lady called the Emmapreneur and her partner Gray. The Emmapreneur holds one of the largest collections of MKUltra survivors in the world, and her partner Gray is an ex-Satanist. And my friend Sherry said to me, she said, Roy, she said, I've set up a chat with Emma and Gray. So Sherry and I went on with Emma and Gray, and Emma and Gray asked me to tell the story. And I told him about how my brain folded, and he started crying when I told him that my brain folded over. And so did I. It set me off, because he said that he used to do this to people, Richard.
Right.
But the beauty of that night was I'd finally found my truth, because I'd been to see the great Dr. Barry Trower about 18 months ago, just previous to speaking with Emma and Gray. And Dr. Barry, who doesn't know who Dr. Barry Trower is, he's an ex-MI5, British MI5, MI6 military microwave underwater weapons expert.
Wow.
He used to debrief spies that came back from their missions. Barry Trower's job was to find out how microwaves deflected underwater. That was part of his job. 35 years ago, he could see what the government was putting in place. He became a whistleblower.
Right.
Because he could see, he wanted to save women and children. And his wife, Linda, she's been a great support of Barry. The great Barry's still around. I spoke with Linda just before Christmas, but I'm not pestering them at the moment because Barry's semi-retired now. He has offered me the last chance to do an interview with him.
Are you going to do it?
Well, nobody wants to back me, Richard. All of these Americans, all of your so-called websites that are trying to help targeted individuals, they know that I've got the final interview with him, but none of them want to back me. I said that anybody could come with me. I would phone Barry up because Barry's granted me another interview if I ever wanted it with him. And
where does he live? What's the hold up?
The hold up is because sadly, a lot of the TI sites that
most of these TI sites are simply shields for the FBI.
Yeah,
and this was part of the deal. The onset of the internet, that was the plan. These people are going to be on the internet. They're going to be looking and trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And we're going to have the glue traps and send them down rabbit holes. We're going to talk about science that's real, science that's not real. And we're going to show them patents, and we're going to have stories. We're going to have testimonies, and we're going to run them down rabbit holes to hell and back. And they won't ever get anywhere with it. And these people are brainwashed. And you can't get past someone. They identify as this, they identify as that. They've been probed, or somebody seeing through their eyelids. And it has targeted victims in the position they want them in is to sound like they're suffering from some type of psychosis. In this case, a mass psychosis. So we know that nothing can be further from the truth. And so that's one of the problems that they have with me is I don't G-haul, and that word we use in the South is I don't get along or get down with any of those organizations.
Yeah, and I was going to say they're all full of shit.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Basically, I gave them all of my data for nothing. They came to me 7 years ago. I'm not going to mention their names because I slagged them all off. Because one of them, they've been taking money from tortured individuals for 7 years.
He's not going to say it, but I am going to say it, Roy. He's talking about targeted justice, and they are the biggest scam on this planet. I'm telling you, at one of their co-founders, Midge Mathis, which isn't her name, I was in Cave Creek, Arizona, with Dr. Stamwick. And she said, do you know who that is over there? I said, I know that they're stalking, have been the whole time we were here. She said, no, that is Midge Mathis. I said, okay, I don't know who in the hell Midge Mathis is. She said, Target Justice. Don't know who they are. But I found out. And then that's when I saw this picture that she has flown it all over the internet, that she was burned up with a directed energy weapon, which was obvious to me that it was nothing more than the side effects of a chemical pill. And so I said, oh, the audacity of these people, they stalked the wrong boy. They thought they had this Southern boy over in Arizona. They're going to show me how they really stalked somebody. And I let them know in no uncertain terms, you have stalked the wrong person. And she sent me a message through Messenger on Facebook, of course, and blasting me. And by the way, my name is Midge Mathis. She claimed her real name was Dolores Claus. And folks, well, you've got that listed as a founding member, Midge Mathis. The name's fake. Stop right there. I can't get past that. I can't get past the point that you're using a fake name. Okay, I don't do good with fake. Everything I talk about and the names, everything's real. That's what we do, is we keep it
100% integrity.
And so that is the deal. And those people are some of the most hell-bent trolls on the face of this earth.
Agreed.
But I can promise you, this individual right here talking, they know where they stand with me, and so we're gonna keep it real. So go ahead, Roy. Sorry about that time.
Oh, it's all delighted to hear you put Chip in, Richard. Because what happened with me is I slagged targeted justice off. I'll tell you why. Because I started this little talk to gather everybody together. It was called TI Talk. I did it on a Sunday night. I did it regular. I'd already been on Twitter 10 years then. So basically, I've gathered the most information on the planet. So I've started giving all of the information to everybody, and I could see how fragmented everything was. So I started doing a Sunday night talk. And then we used to get half a dozen, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on. And then they all started connecting and collaborating. Then you got your Icator, then you got your PACs, then you got your targeted justice. And I connected all of them, every single one of them. And all they've done is slag me off.
Yeah, there's a targeted individuals UK that's as full of shit as targeted justice.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And I helped him as well, the Christian man. Oh, I helped him as well, yeah. I sent him all my data and he never bothered with me after that. Yeah, you got it, Richard. He done the same to me as well. Yeah.
Oh, they never did anything. I never gave them a chance to do anything to me. I never got in bed with them remotely.
No, nor me. And anyway, no, because I could see what he was. All he was doing was feeding off me, getting everything from me. And building his own little crowd up, the same as the rest of them.
And the object of these fake groups is to for this program to work, you must absolutely continue the program of chaos, Operation Chaos.
100%.
Nothing at the end of the day will ever make sense. And when it does make sense, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
and it won't hold up in a court of law. There's no precedent. You're not going to get anywhere. You think you got good information, sounds good, looks good. But when you try to take it to task, you're not going to get anywhere. It's when you call these people's names, places, and what they're doing, and you expose that, that's when you're on to something. And that's what we do here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Roy.
Thank you, Richard. We're on the same page, mate. And so anyway, last year I called Targeted Justice out on TI Talk. I said, well, what do they do? All that they're good at is taking money. They've been taking money for 6 years. They've done nothing. They've just been taking. How much have they taken? And then Anna Toledo phoned me up. She said, oh, Roy, she said, we've decided that from next year, we're going to show everybody how much money we're taking.
Oh, whatever.
Right, yeah, whatever, you're right, because she blocked me after that, because we fell out. Because then they all went round slagging me off because I'd already fallen out with Len Bear, because he came to me, asked me to ask questions to our friend Dr. Barry Trial when I was there. I asked him, and when I was there, Richard, they stopped me being able to speak, so I couldn't hold a conversation. They stopped me being able to read and write. To read the questions out with the 2 women that I'd gone with. They stopped me, and dear Barry, he noticed what they'd done to me, and he took the questions off of me, and he read the next question, because they stopped me being able to talk and to be able to read, and this is what they do. So I phoned that Len Bear up, or I sent him a message to say, oh yes, he said, you didn't ask the question specifically as I said it. And that's the thanks I got from that man, from Targeted Justice. Yeah. I've gone all the way to Australia with an ex-girlfriend of mine. She had a spare ticket. She was supposed to be going with a friend of hers. And because she was cheating behind my back or looking for other men, and she was supposed to be going with this other man, and he couldn't make it. And she said, if you pay the ticket, Roy, you can come with me. So I paid the ticket and went on the cruise with her. And when I was there, I had the decency to go out of my way to meet Craig LaForest. Now, I'm not going to slag Craig LaForest off at the moment because he's going through a lot of shit. But he was an absolute arsehole to me. Because sadly, he works on the cruise ships and he's a singer. He's going through a lot of shit and he doesn't understand, and I understand it. But he treated me like some sort of bitch. I've gone there out of my way to meet the bloke, and all of a sudden he treats me like a local knobhead. And I'm thinking, what's this all about?
Yeah.
So anyway, Targeted, so that's targeted justice. I don't know much about equatorial pacts. I know Alison, I connected Alison. I know Amy Holam's doing a lot of good work because she decodes the voices. So when people are hearing the voices, she can actually record it and get signals from it. So this is all factual, what I'm saying. So Amy's doing great work. Where were we? So we down to Barry's.
About these voices, you want to share just briefly for those that are not in the know,
Right.
what you're talking about.
They're beamed into your head by microwaves. Most of us are microchipped, or we've got nanobots in our system. My friend went for a blood test last week, and he's done a specific blood test. And this blood test he done in Eastern Europe. It cost him €70, and he found the nanobots in it. He sent me the pictures of the actual nanobots. There's a thing called dark microscopy, and he found the nanobots in his blood. So, and that is a coup. That is fabulous. And a few people are doing that now. But a lot of my friends are microchipped, and they've been to see Dr. Hoffer, and there's another gentleman, I forget his name, it escapes me at the moment, and he's doing chipping scans as well for people. A lady doctor, and her name escapes, she's got 85 microchips in her. She's a doctor, an ex-FBI man. He's on the program now. I get doctors on X sending me messages to retweet for them. They're putting anybody and everybody on the program. They're putting lawyers. They don't care who it is now.
How are these people getting chipped, and how's this happening?
Well, a lot of them believe that we know that the dentists were microchipping us in the 70s and 80s. This is documented. And the more letters, Dr. Barry said, they have after their name, the more chances of is they were told something about us as children or something, and they sneaked a chip in our teeth. And this is documented. And I've got a chip on the bridge of my nose, and I've got one in my spine. I've had a scan in my property with he had about 10 different bits of equipment. He scanned me, he told me that, but I knew I was chipped. But the nano stuff that they're in the air, nano was found in Coca-Cola last week or the week before. If you Google nano chips in Coca-Cola, you'll find that this is factual.
I hope this one did.
Well, it's in the air. They're spraying it all. It's the nano in the air as well. You know, people are just, oh, he's a crazy conspiracy theorist. They wouldn't do this. They wouldn't do that. They bloody would. They want total control. This is going to be, they're copying China. China, the first lady in the world that I found reporting targeted individuals. There was no such thing when I found. She was reporting, and it was synthetic telepathy, remote neural monitoring, and I found her, and she was Chinese, and she was actually, like you said, she was actually a shill. She was actually a plant by the Chinese government put in for the chaos. But I found my truth from her. That's where I started finding the truth. You know, and then the more research I did, I researched synthetic telepathy, because in the beginning I knew it wasn't me. I knew it wasn't my thoughts, and I knew that the chatbots weren't me. You know, I knew that it was something exterior coming into it, and it's done with microwaves. It's beamed into us. So anyway, 1995 to 2004, I went through hell. 2003, I was living in a room, and they'd made me sell my property. They made me sell my taxi business, I sold my property. I had £50,000 equity in it. I sold the taxi business for 20,000. I had an idea to buy either a Subway sandwich bar, but they had other ideas for me. And their ideas were they were going to send me to the Philippines to marry a woman that I'd never met before. This was set up in a place called Lansdowne, Bournemouth, Dorset. It was set up in a bar there. It was set up by my handler, a Filipino lady called Maria, and it was set up by this gang of people, and I know who they all are now.
What was the purpose of that?
I don't know, because I thought I must have been a favor, because she was actually of Vietnamese descent. She was a Filipino of Vietnamese descent. Her father was in the Vietnamese War. He met a Filipino lady, and my wife to be, Dolores, or my wife, she was the product of this. So I wondered if I was a favor for a British passport. I didn't know, because when I was in the Philippines, I was telling Dolores everything that was happening. A man called Tony, who was a policeman in Bournemouth, he was every night, Roy, it's Tony, go to the bookstore in the morning, buy Bibles, buy everything biblical. Roy, go to the bookstore, go to the bookstore. So I was telling Dolores what was happening. I said, Dolores, I could barely speak. I didn't know what I was doing in the Philippines. I didn't have a clue what was going on. It was all pre-planned by the establishment here in Bournemouth, or by the occult, or by the Satanists, or whatever. So
I don't know. I do know that as the program exists here, that one of their main staples is in this holistic approach to policing, everyone doing their part. That includes the occult, fraternal organizations, and so forth. NAMBLA, doesn't matter. They want to bring those people into the fold and let them and give them leeway to do whatever they want to do in step with the community policing. And so this is what brings in this demonic element, which the whole deal, the whole program, the whole foundation of this program is evil, inherently evil. None of it jails or will dovetail with God's word. So whether you believe in God or not is neither here nor there. The fact is that nothing about this program, no aspect of it, we want our community safe, et cetera, we want the homeland, blah, blah, blah. All that sounds wonderful. It has morphed into an element of control, population control, and power. Would you agree, Roy?
100%. And all everybody's got to do is read Dr. Robert Duncan's book, Project Soulcatcher. Dr. Robert Duncan is the man who invented this program. He gave something to the government. He discovered something. And I'd like to say, I hope you're resting in peace, Dr. Robert.
Yeah, he died last year, didn't he?
They got rid of him last year.
Yeah.
And months before, he was begging for help. He was telling everybody that was what was happening, the same as I've been doing for years, and nobody's listening, or nobody can do anything about it.
Oh, somebody is listening. People are listening.
Yeah,
rest assured, people are listening.
And while we're here, I'd like to give respect to John McAfee, the great McAfee software.
That's right. And we, of course, I think they said he committed suicide in his jail cell. It's one story. He was found dead in his jail cell. Yeah. We know what happened to John McAfee.
Yeah.
The McAfee antivirus software that everybody in the world's familiar with. He was targeted and hunted down and eliminated.
Yeah, living in a Faraday cage with his what beautiful wife Janice with an 8-way jammer. You
Right.
know, what sort of way, you know, we're being tracked like animals. You know, the cats and dogs are all chipped now, the same as we are.
Right.
You know, but the thing is they know how to put voices into our head now, stop us peaking. And not only that, we got retina implants, a lot of us. So what we're seeing, they're seeing as well. What we speak, everything is uploaded. They know our medical conditions. They know everything. At the moment, I've got a gut problem. Sorry to go off topic. I went to the doctors today, had a blood test. I've got this mucus that just continues to come up, and apparently this is the aftermath, or this is the effects of bio or nano in our systems. I don't know the full aspect of that, but I was reading a little bit about it last night. So targeted individuals, we've got to learn to eat properly, and we've got to learn to listen to people that are talking sense and not shit, and
Right.
not trying to put us off topic.
Right.
Because we're all being slowly killed.
Right.
I've been microwaved in this property for 17 and a half years. I've just spent 8 months in my bedroom smoking a bit of weed and stuff because I couldn't stand the pain in here.
Wow.
I was living on aspirins and paracetamol in here because of the amount of radiation there. That my brain at the moment, they're frying me. They smack me in the spine, they're smacking me in the legs. You know, it's pure wickedness. And the thing is most people don't believe us, but now we are getting a little bit of traction. But I get so many bad days. And a female friend of mine, 3 of her daughters, 2 of them are hearing voices. One of them's 4, one of them's 10 or 11 now. This is so wrong. The children are hearing voices now. And when you said about the programs, MKUltra, there was 147 sub-projects of it, and there is 10,500 upgrades.
Who started MKUltra? Can you give us just a brief?
Yes, it was started with American money, Canadian money, and British money. It was started in 1953. In 1973, it came to light. The American government, or was it the Canadian, it was brought to light by Kathy O'Brien. Kathy O'Brien is a great advocate for the targeted individuals. She successfully, I believe she sued the establishment, and then in 1973, this all went underground.
And I'm going to tell you, folks, I'm going to interject here. Our new youth Health and Human Services Director, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I don't think his book is out. It's coming out. And he has spoken and continues to speak extensively about MKUltra, the program. And it was his uncle that I think one of the fatal mistakes his uncle made, John F. Kennedy, he said, I will rip the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it in the wind. There was a reason he wanted to do that. There's a reason he was assassinated. There's a reason Bobby Kennedy was assassinated. And now there's a reason that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will be expounding on that. So, folks, a lot of things that have been dismissed and written off as hocus pocus, a conspiracy, we're finding out that all these conspiracies are actually facts. So they're going to come up with some new conspiracies. But thus far, all the old conspiracies are coming to light as factual things, all the way up to Bill Gates and Fauci militarizing this planet with the COVID vaccine. And
Graphene.
They weaponized it. And folks, let me tell you, Gates spent his money making sure that they got one individual from every police agency in America, every fire department, emergency management, and so forth, and gave them a course on how to enforce things to do with the injection, the vaccination. Now, how difficult was it for them to call up these people and to get a refresher course? Wasn't difficult at all. The network was already set up. They just feed them new information. And folks, this is the deep state. As I mentioned to Roy in an email, when you hear deep state, I think some people get confused. It's some bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. Oh, no. Let me tell you, when I hear deep state, I'm thinking of a global situation. Just like COVID was a global pandemic, this program is in fact global. So you just need to understand that. It's not just something indicative, you would think, to places like North Korea and China. Those are probably are two of the safer places on the planet to be. I don't know for sure, but I'm not saying I'd want to be in either one, but I'm just saying, folks, that's the reality of it. That's how deep the deep state is. That's my opinion.
I agree, Richard. And I want to mention Robert Kennedy's voice, because if you notice, he's got something right. Well, they did that to me, right? When they stopped me talking, I had, hello, right? Yes. And when I said, and also, they put a gentleman in England, his name is David Icke. They put him on the program, I think it was 1992. And what happened is he pissed the BBC off, the establishment. So he was a sportsman, a footballer, and then he was a sports pundit. And he pissed somebody off at the BBC, so they put him on the program. So if you Google David Icke, son of God, wearing purple, he started believing that he was the son of God, and he started wearing purple because they shafted his mind so badly. The whole country was taking the piss out of him, but I recognised it because I'd already been on the programme 10 years before in '82. So I knew that they'd messed with him, and he was prominent. I wasn't prominent. I suppose I was in the slot machine. It was a very public establishment, but they made an example of David, and now he's very successful. He lives a 20-minute drive from me. I have to catch a ferry to the Isle of Wight, and he does a lot of reporting now, but a lot of people are on the fence with David because he's gone down the reptilian route. But I won't get into that, but apart from that, he's a great advocate.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of that where we are, but we do have a lot of lard asses, and so
right. I didn't want to go down that reptilian route because we need to specifically concentrate on MKUltra, targeted individuals, remote neural monitoring, voice to skull, directed energy weapons,
and kind of shy away from the reptilian shape shifting.
Agreed.
For God's sake.
And I want to mention this because I interviewed a beautiful Japanese lady about 4 weeks ago. And sadly, she couldn't speak it. Her English was terrible. And she contacted me, and I put the artificial intelligence on so it could translate it. And I didn't really understand what she was saying. But a day or two after we did the interview, she contacted me and she said, I've been locked up. even though she didn't show herself, they found her and they locked her up.
Yeah, voice recognition has been around for a long time, and I'm personally aware of individuals that have in real time had issues with that.
Right.
And I'm speaking of an individual that went into a dollar store, purchased a flip phone, cell phone, broke it out of the package, turned it on, activated it, then it rang. He activated it with whoever the service provider was. He spoke with someone. Then the phone rang. He looked at the phone. He couldn't understand why it was ringing. Hello. On the other end of the phone was a U.S. Marshal telling him that they needed to talk to him. Of course, he told him whatever and dished the phone. And they called up with him about 45 minutes after that. Now, he was in a different vehicle every day. Didn't have any devices. He said he had to get a device, so he goes in there and has his girlfriend actually go in there. He didn't even get out of the car. And he said, now this happened in 2013, I believe. He said, voice recognition. It's better than a fingerprint. And when your voice goes through the whatever, then and they're looking for you, then they got you.
Well, what I was going to go on to say was she contacted me and I reached out to a lady friend of mine in Japan. Her name's Yuki. And Yuki and I have known each other 4 or 5 years. And we've spoken regular. And Yuki, last year, she said to me, Roy, they're killing my mother. She said, please help. So we put a shout out for Yuki and her mum. And thankfully, Yuki's mum's got a little bit of reprieve.
What was they doing to her?
Microwaving her. Frying her the same as they are us.
And folks, people that this happening to will exhibit symptoms that whether the doctors are aware of this or not, they'll just prescribe this, prescribe that, and
don't take pills. Don't.
And then if you even think that you're on to it, and you start talking about it to a doctor, then they're going to have you ease you into a psych ward somewhere. So that's why they do it. It's self-implosion, boys and girls. Self-implosion 101. This is not. You've got to be able to zero in on the individuals that are behind this. I've laid it out pretty clear who's behind it here, and maybe Roy, you can lay it out the structure there where you are.
Yeah,
who's running the show? Who's running the show over there?
Right. Before that, I just want to finish off with the Japanese.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes,
because there's a point to it, Richard.
I believe you.
I contacted Yuki and I said, Yuki, I've got a Japanese friend. And I said, could you speak with her, please? I said, I'm worried about her. She said, of course I will, Roy. So she phoned her up in the mental hospital. And one of the establishments that we mentioned earlier took $3,500 off of her and trying to pretend that they were going to help her.
Yeah, asset stripping.
Well, this is one of these so-called people that are helping targeted individuals that are pretending to represent them.
And these clowns that try to jump on there. I can stop your targeting and that kind of thing.
Yeah, impossible bullshit, all of that.
Well, yeah, it's these folks, they never use real names. None of these trolls use real names. There's nothing real about them, and period. Okay, whatever starts out wrong ends up wrong. If they're fake, move on. I don't want to hear a story about why You're using a fake name. I could give a tinker's damn.
Yep.
I'm not interested in somebody using a fake name. Because what I'm talking about ain't fake. There's no place for fake.
100%. And the thing is everybody's been trying to get something on me, right?
Yeah.
And they can't. There ain't nothing to get. You know, they uploaded my brain over a 9-year period. And this is actually biblical, because in the Bible, there's a verse that says, rejoice when you are set at 0. Right now, how would the Bible have known that the brain could be reset to 0? Or paraphrasing that, right? I was reset. They emptied my brain and they uploaded it.
Right.
And I could feel them uploading it. I could also feel them looking through my eyes. I knew that they were doing it. Getting back to your question, who's running the show here? This was started by the Bournemouth Police.
By who?
By the Bournemouth Police Department. Because when I was on the pier, the policeman's son, who eventually poked his nose in my marriage, him, my boss, and everybody else kept their mouth shut when they did it to me. They knew what they'd done, right? But
that scripture you were referring to is Philippians 4, 12 through 13. And that's where Paul is essentially saying, even when I'm set to 0, I rejoice because Christ strengthens me. Go ahead, Roy.
Thank you for that. You see, because I'd researched everything, because I thought, well, how can they reset the brain? You know, is that possible? But it is. With the chat bots and everything. Basically, Richard, they emptied my brain out of everything. They were trying to see what was in there. There's nothing nefarious. I'm not a paedophile. I'm not gay. I'm not bisexual. I love my women. I love my children. And I was a grafter all my life. I spoke a bit of shit.
Well, all the things that you said you're not, they are.
I know.
And this is what they reflect on those that they target.
Yes.
What you've heard, though, when we were children, said, when you're pointing one finger, there's 4 more pointing back at yourself. Folks, that's still in play. That's still in play.
They sent a weed dealer in to me who was he was an Italian from Sicily with a lady and 2 boys. And I didn't know anybody. And I'd met him through somebody, and he sold a bit of weed. So, you know, I got friendly with him, bought a bit of weed. One day he started blowing smoke in my face. And I thought to myself, take it as you know, an Italian thing, you know. Next time he came round here, we were having a smoke on a couch here, and he started trying to snuggle up to me, blowing smoke in my face. So I turned around and said, what the fuck? And he started getting all nasty, and I said, you better get out of here, right? So that was the local establishment trying to get something on me with some pervert that I've got no interest in. So they were doing this because oh, shut up! I turned that off. I put it in airplane mode.
I can't hear it. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Richard.
That's I couldn't hear anything.
Okay, so anyway, they'll play that, and I've got a homosexual friend who visited me with a Spanish lady who's actually married, and because they were trying to turn me gay, and
it's the closet queer mafia. I thought it was just in the South, but apparently that's a nationwide thing. If they folks are against queerism, if you talk about it. They want you to stay in the closet with it like they are.
Yeah. Well, I actually phoned my friend John, and I said, John, could I ask you a personal question? And he said, of course you can. Oh, well, he didn't. He said, of course you can, Roy. Yeah, well, he's lovely. He's very effeminate, and he's actually married to another man. And I said, John, I said, did you know you were a homosexual? I said, did you know? Oh, yes, Roy, I knew from a young age.
Oh, Lord.
Because they were trying to do this to me but they did this to me many years ago with another bloke in the club. They did it I got a flat with him, came back from the bar one night, and he invited me into his bedroom. I had to tell him to F off and move out the flat the next day.
Oh, damn.
So they were he was a club member as well. You know, so another person getting favours because they need me out of the way or they need something on me. And I don't bend like that. That ain't my style. That ain't my thing. Yeah, this is, without a shadow of a doubt, the British Army.
Okay, so the military establishment and how about your local law enforcement?
Oh, well, they started it. It was them who put me on the programme initially in 82. So it was them who reacted me in 95 because the handler was a local carpenter. My first handler, Bill Verity, of 9 years. And I went to his house last week because I'd heard that he was dead. And I went to his house to film more stuff, to tell everybody where he lived and everything else. But, you know, it's just for my peace of mind and to show everybody else.
Right.
Because he's got a lot of people protecting him, you know.
Is he dead now? Is that what you're saying?
Pardon?
Is he dead now? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, he's dead. I'd heard he was dead some years ago, you know. And, you know, I didn't rejoice at his death or anything, but what a horrible man to do that. I said to him one day, I said, Bill, I said, why are you doing this to me with a voice like Robert Kennedy's where I could barely speak? And he turned around and he went, hee, because we can.
Yeah, that's the mentality.
Yeah.
And I guess, folks, that sword cuts two ways.
Yeah. And then a doctor was put in my as a handler for 6 years. And previous to that, and I didn't know, and I told her 4 weeks ago, she was put in my taxi 25 years ago when I was doing the private hire and taxiing. Her job was to know all of my business. It was to get in my taxi, become, you know, friendly, pretend that she was friendly and everything else.
And now with technology and AI, they can circumvent a lot of that.
Yeah. Well, 4 weeks ago, because I'm talking to, I said, Linda, I said, I know the truth now. Her name's Linda. I won't say her surname, Linda F. And she's an estate agent. She's wealthy. And, you know, obviously she's in the club. She's a Satanist. She's on their team. She was put in my car and her job was to find out all my business, to give me a birthday card once a year and a Christmas card once a year. She knew when my mother died. She was always in contact with me to make sure she was in the loop. When the psychiatrists took me off, I was on antipsychotics for 9 years. Clozarine, Largactil, Quetiapine, Clozaril, all of these different ones. And basically, because what happened was they sleep deprived me for 6 months.
Yeah,
because they wanted me in the system.
Right.
They wanted me to go to the doctors because I was crawling up the wall and couldn't sleep. So they wanted me to go to the doctors to tell them. So I went to the doctors, of course. Then I'm referred to the psychiatrist. I'm on pills. I'm a bipolar, paranoid schizophrenic, which I'm not. Yeah. I'm on a government.
Paranoid schizophrenic is a manufactured diagnosis.
Yeah.
That's that's everybody doing their part.
Yeah.
This is the program, and this is what it's going to make people say, think, and do. And okay, we'll give it a name, and Big Pharma will give it a medication, and we'll be able to marginalize and dismiss anybody that dares open their mouth about what we're doing, because we're paranoid schizophrenia. It's schizophrenic. And so most of these psychological diagnoses they're ever evolving. You know, in the 70s, the mainstream mental health network in America medicated and treated homosexuality. Of course, they're not doing that now, but it was treated in the 70s as something that needed to be treated like someone that was manic depressive. You can't say that anymore. Bipolar. It may be midgets the next time. I don't know. It keeps changing to be politically correct of what they're calling it, but you can rest assured the majority of it is bullshit.
I think it's all bullshit, because how do you get paranoid schizophrenia at 33 years old? Because that's
mass paranoid schizophrenia. Millions of people globally are suffering from this mass psychosis. They're getting it on the internet, and then they're just buying into it. And everybody's saying, well, that's me, that's me, that's me. They've got a million and one excuses. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, people know that something isn't right, and eyes are starting to be opened. And folks, it's not pretty. It's not pretty.
So sorry, Richard, I can't remember where we got to now.
There's no telling. But we were we were talking about we were talking about how they diagnosed you as a paranoid schizophrenic and all these things.
Right. Yeah. And well, that was at 30. Well, that was in my 30s, after I was crawling up the wall to for a night's sleep, because I was taxi driving, trying to pay the mortgage, and the taxi was 26,000. You know, the insurance was $4,000 a year plus but anyway. And so they got me in the system, and the handlers. The last handler was a doctor as well. He was my handler for 6 years. He was putting I was caring for my dear old mum, who I cared for 14 years. 12 years it started becoming more full-time as she got older. And then I wanted to see if I could find myself a woman. So I went to a Match.com evening, and I went to this bar. Yeah.
How'd that work out?
Well, when I went there was this man there with 4 women. And that was the setup. That was the doctor with the 4 women. They knew that I would go over there because there was hardly any other women in the place. And he was there with his daughter, his daughter's friend, and 2 other women. So I went over there, started shouting, hello, I'm a doctor. I used to work in Cyprus. And Cyprus was the thing, because they knew that I'd worked on the Turkish Republic of Cyprus, where I'd learned to speak a little bit of Turkish, and I'd worked on the Greek Republic of Cyprus. So they knew that. And that is where the Army Air Force Base is, RAF Akrotiri, the British Air Base. So that's in Cyprus. So that was the connection with him. I'd gone there, met him, walking down the road to the next bar with the ladies. And then he asked me for my number, because he wanted to join me to join the Rotary Club. Right?
Rotarians. I've read about them.
Well, I became a Rotarian because of it. Yes, but I'm not in the Shaky Handy Club. There was them in there, but you know, there was 5 nice people out of 55 people. That because most of them they wouldn't have. I wouldn't anyway. But I did meet 5 nice people that I tell the truth to, Richard. That know that I report all over Facebook, that I report all over X, Twitter, I do the YouTube plan, but I don't care. I got into I don't care mood a year or 2 ago, because they're killing me anyway, you know. So what have I got?
We're all on our way out. So,
pardon?
I said we all are on our way out.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to get out of this deal alive. So,
yeah, today they cut my phone off. And I was telling Richard earlier, and basically they've set all these skits up. I got my benefits yesterday, and they took everything. They took everything today, so I've got nothing. So now I'm selling. All I've got left is 3 pool cues and a few other bits and pieces, and then I'll start selling the fridge freezer. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be associated with this town, Bournemouth, and I'm very, very sad that I ever represented this town. You know, I'm sad that I bigged it up all over the world, because it is pure satanic, Bournemouth is. It is pure and utter evil. There are niches in this town, and I would never have believed this if somebody said this to me.
This
but
is,
I experienced it.
and folks, again, I'm going to put Roy's information in the description here, and you hear what's going on, and there are people watching this that can change things and assist in his situation. So, not only, as always, I absolutely implore you to keep us in your prayers, and for those that can, we need somebody to some people to step forward and give a hand here. I'm here today, folks, because of people that and many of them are not named. They know who they are. At least they be zeroed in on and targeted and pressured, because they've dug their heels in and made sure that our message continues to be broadcasted, and we will continue to do that. And so I'm grateful for those people. And there are others, Roy, that hear you and that will help you. And so I'm counting on that, folks, and that'll be in there. And we will possibly come back in not too distant a future and give an update on the situation over there. I know that several months ago, Roy, you had issues you were going to get off of social media, and I'm aware of that, and I felt then. I mean, it was in my heart of hearts. I knew exactly where that was coming from. I'm absolutely have walked in your shoes, and there's countless people that are walking in your shoes. But folks, let me tell you, it's not over. I quote Yogi Berra: "It's not over till it's over," and it ain't over. And right now is not the time to wave a white flag. I know that Roy is not waving a white flag, but a closed mouth doesn't get fed. And he's advocated for victims for years, way before you ever heard me say the first word. Roy was already in place and moving and shaking globally with his message. And folks, that's the message that they want to muzzle. They don't want the truth to come out, and these demons will fight tooth and nail to keep that from happening. And they're going to have a fight, and I'm telling you, they've got to fight for sure. So we'll have that in there, Roy. Parting shots. Take us. I see your situation right now, and what say you to people that are listening that perhaps are experiencing some of the things that you've talked about? I want to know more about what you're talking about. What do you suggest?
I've got a YouTube channel, Targeted Individuals United. BitChute and Rumble, all Targeted Individuals United. I've got a website, targetedindividualsunited.com, but I can't afford to fund it, and I don't know how to the ins and outs of the website. A lady was kind enough to come to me about 4 or 5 years ago and said, "Roy, I'd like to, but I'd help you with the website." But I don't know who this lady is. And the website's dormant now for the simple reason I can't afford to have anybody update it. And I'm not, and my brain doesn't work like that. I'm not a web engineer or anything like that. And not only that, my brain it's healing, but it's still fragmented. You know, it's a job for me to even set a printer up, you know, and I had to reset my computer yesterday. Today, this morning, they cut my telephone off, so I've got no outgoing calls. So basically, they've trapped me here 3 weeks.
Well, we've got you on here, and that's amazing.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for your kind words. But 3 weeks ago, because they cut my internet off, and it was only 2 weeks ago, I've got the internet back on with another company. I've had 3 internet companies within 18 months. This is the third mobile phone number I've had since last year. They spoofed my phone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got rid of 2 phones because it scared me, Richard.
Yeah.
Because when you've got women phoning you up saying, "I've had a missed call from you."
Oh, yeah.
And this just continued, and this scared me because I've got so much going on. They're trying to make out I'm a pervert. I had 2 ladies come here 4 months ago, Katie Petersay, and she came with this lady from Holland called Nicole. Nicole was an undercover Dutch policewoman. Her job was to frame me as a rapist.
Yeah.
She came here with
Katie. That's just par for the course, Roy. Yes. I mean, people that are targeted, no matter where they are, it's this simple, folks.
Yeah.
The circus came to town and stayed. They said I've had men with titties and everything else roll up on me, and it never ceases to amaze me. They continue to give me plenty of content. Well, you hear me talking about these folks, you can't make this stuff up. And they'll
Who would want to make it up, Richard?
That's right. Who would want to make it? And they're running whores in on Roy, and they're flush with whores and freaks. I believe that. They've got them. If you want to know where they are, they've got them in spades. You can believe that. And we're gonna keep exposing them. So these people standing behind the badge, that protected BS.
Yeah, well, what does the Hippocratic Oath mean? Because they all swear the Hippocratic Oath. What does it mean?
No oath or anything that they take publicly means anything. The oath that they've taken in action and in spirit is an irrevocable oath, and that is the oath that they took when they participate in this program of selling their soul to the devil. You can't get out of that deal. So that's the one that you're having a problem with. But the rest of them, they don't have a problem with them. They'll say them, put their hands on a Bible they never read and the God they don't believe in to protect the Constitution and rule of law. They think it's a piece of trash.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better than myself. And the doctor, who was my handler for 6 years, what happened was he knew that I'd sold my car to go to Barry Trowers. The car was worth £3,300. They'd kept me so busy with Barry Trower, this woman called Sasha, this other woman called Lorraine. They'd arranged to come with me. And they've never contacted me ever since. I never ever heard from them ever again. So they were probably plants as well.
Well, I've had people contact me, want to move across the country, want to move in with me. And I just, I said, you have absolutely got the wrong person. Believe that. You think you won't, you last maybe an hour. Okay. No, I get along. They thought I get along with anybody. Well, you don't understand. I don't. I don't play well with others.
Well,
But
this doctor, Richard, this doctor, he was the one who I met at the Match.com night who invited me into the Rotary Club. About 6 months ago, he said to me, or maybe a year, he said, "Oh, Roy," because he knew I didn't have a car. "Hello, mate."
It's Maddie. She's got to get her
bless her
5 minutes of fame every time.
Oh, hello, beautiful. What a sweetheart. And anyway, this doctor said, Roy, I'd like you to have my car. What it was, he had 3 pieces of transport at his house. He was pissing the neighbours off. He had a van outside his house that he was waiting to take to his holiday home in Italy. Right?
Yeah.
So he wanted to dump the car on me. And I thought to myself, well, hang on a minute, because I started thinking to myself, he's not a real friend. And he said to me, well, I'd like you to have this car. Thought about it, and I phoned him up. I said, to be honest, Steve, I said, I've thought about it, and I don't want to, you know. I said I'd be worried, you know, in case anything happened. And I would, because I would have been beholden to him for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Or they might have put a prang on me, so I'm beholden to him for the guilt trip.
Right.
So I refused the car.
Right.
Within a few days, he's gone through my doctor's records. He phoned up my doctor, told him he was worried about my mental health because I'd refused his car.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. It never ends. Well, Roy, let's. I want to again tell you I appreciate you coming on.
My pleasure.
And
thank you.
We've got to we've got to do this again soon.
The door's open, Richard, anytime. People are going to get. I've got 8 years of diaries, Richard, and they're scary. I've got most documented. I had this mucus come out of my system that was bright green after they folded my brain up.
I've had the same thing happen, and about about a month before COVID was publicly announced, and I thought I was dying. I mean, really, I wanted to die, and so I've had 2 or 3 bouts. I hadn't had any injections, and not going to have any. So I totally concur on these strange sicknesses. Who knows? But you've got a lot of good information, and I
hope it helps. I hope
it absolutely does. I think it's high time that other like-minded people get on board, and the way you can do your part is you can support the individuals that are bringing this to the forefront. They're exposing this, and so you can become a patron. Patreon. That links to my link tree. I'm gonna have the links to get in touch with Roy and what he's got going on with his platform and hit the platforms that he's on. And he's on Twitter and X and Facebook. It's all there, folks. Nothing is this is the world isn't that big when we're doing what we're doing. And so it's those that are bastions of truth and not bastions of and proprietors of bullshit and rabbit hole syndrome need to get behind those that will dare step up to the plate, call a spade, and open the general public's eyes to what's really going on in plain sight. These people are not crazy. Now, many people, folks, may have driven themselves crazy trying to figure out or get to the bottom of what's going on. You know, they spent half their life trying to be validated, they dismissed, their families turned on them, they've been isolated and have succumbed to being the proverbial nut job. Folks, that does not have to be the way to go. All right, it's the way they want you to go. And so hopefully we can help people turn the page on some of that. Roy, I appreciate you.
Richard.
I appreciate you, Roy. And
Richard, would you mind if I had a copy of this to share on all platforms, please?
No, I want you. I'm gonna get you a copy of it as well. Okay.
Thank you very much, because I'll share it on everything I can.
Wonderful.
I'm very grateful to you, Richard.
I appreciate you. And folks, remember,
anytime, Richard.
So, folks, share and share relentlessly. I can't stress how important this is. Subscribe. Click that little bell button. That'll get notifications that you know when I'm posting something new, and that is often. So until the next time, God bless.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing.